Such a personal topic for someone who's visibly uncomfortable to be talking about this incident. I would have liked to have seen a more intimate setting without the hoopla of the audience and who was in the audience, because you know who else was in the audience? Gail. So apparently, Oprah Winfrey has a podcast on YouTube. I had no clue. And how did I find out? Again, I was meandering through the YouTube and my algorithm sent me the Oprah podcast. And she's interviewing the woman involved in the Coldplay kiss cam incident that happened a few months ago. And the first thing I said was, Oprah has a podcast? And we're still talking about this kiss cam thing? Okay, let's get into it. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lena, and if you're here for the first time, I hope that you consider subscribing if I bring value to you, and I hope you enjoy this content. And for those who are always on my channel, my wonderful community and subs, here we go. Cue the intro. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. So, um, I had no clue that Oprah was still out there giving interviews. I think the last time that I recall her interviewing anyone in specific was the Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, where I believe that she was in a garden. I don't know it was at their home or it was at her home. I didn't watch the interview. I've only seen clippings of it. And I thought that Oprah only came out for certain big interviews. I didn't know that she was still actively doing anything on the network or interviewing session. Um, Gotta tell you, yes, Oprah was a very big thing growing up in my time. Her show, the Oprah Winfrey Show, back in when it was on network television, would come on about 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time where I lived in New York, and I was always working, so I never really caught many of her shows. I would record it through my DVR at the time, or yeah, it was DVR through the cable company. Any shows that I would find interesting, if I had seen a prequel of next up on the Oprah Winfrey Show in the morning, I was like, oh, that sounds like an interesting topic. I would actually record it and sit down and watch it. Throughout the years, I've seen numerous clippings, and people, somehow she's always been around. So I was not one of those Oprah Winfrey, I need to watch it every single afternoon type of gals. If I was homesick and it was on, I would leave it in the background. So I bring this up because I can't recall her interview style very well. Okay. And this podcast that she's interviewing the Kiss Cam, one part of the two that were involved in this incident, Kristen, and was very jarring to me. Okay. And I want to get into the setup. So let's talk about the setup. The only few podcasts that I actually follow in a format that says they are podcasts, and they're not many. Okay. Maybe if I say 10, that's a lot for me. And I don't watch it all the time. And I say watch because I like to watch. I don't really listen. Like if I'm in the car, I listen to the radio and music. I don't listen to podcasts. They always are in an intimate setting, right? They're always in, whether it's a professional studio, someone's living room, someone's whatever. There's always an intimacy there that I appreciate. It's very different from an actual show where you're sitting on a stage and that you have an audience behind you or in front of you or next to you, which is why I found this setup of the podcast for Oprah, very Oprah Winfrey Show miniature version of what she's always done. That's her wheelhouse. I guess she's comfortable doing that, and as when I'm watching this and I just see an audience surrounding her and the person she's interviewing, Christian, and then she's got a little mini table and then she's the person interviewing her. I'm like, so this is the Oprah Winfrey Show, dialed down. I'm like, and for such a personal topic, for someone who's visibly uncomfortable to be talking about this incident, I would have liked to have seen a more intimate setting without the hoopla of the audience and who was in the audience, because you know who else was in the audience? Gail. This is woman not be with her? Why is that every time I turn around, Gail is right behind her? And I say this because if it was just one of those things where I first saw Gail and she panned over to the audience and Gail was sitting there, I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, fine, whatever. But then I want to make clear that you can watch the video yourself. You can find it literally. Just type Oprah Winfrey question and it comes up. Um, it's an hour. And for 20 minutes during the course of this interview, there is the back and forth between her, Oprah, and Gail about different parts of their lives that they're integrating into this person's life, whether it's the drinking that this woman had apparently had noted in the New York Times article that she had given an interview, which I did not know about. And, as she's saying this, you know, Oprah is telling her, oh, okay, Gail, do you know that she drinks too? And, you always getting on me about me drinking. And, Gail doesn't drink. She only drinks, Shirley Temples and yada, 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 and blah, 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 and all this other bull crap. And they're like talking, like they're both just hanging out. And there's an audience and there's this woman who's trying to tell her story. And I'm like, can we talk to her? Oprah? Why do I need to know what you and Gail do and do not do? And why does she have Shirley Temples and you will drink, something vodka? And she keeps trying to bring in her personal life into this interview. So that's 20 minutes throughout the 1 hour course of this minutia that's going back and forth. I'm like, I have no interest at all. Okay. I've had enough of you and Gail, and then another 15 minutes of her interrupting Christian as she's trying to tell her story by also, leading her, or she has this fixation throughout the interview on saying that, so I just want to be clear. You and I spoke on Zoom and Zoom, and Zoomy, Zoom, and Zoom this, and you told me this on Zoom. I'm like, all right, Oprah, I have a feeling that you had a meeting with her on Zoom. I got it. The first 9 times, Oprah. And that, another thing she keeps trying to harp on was, and to be clear, at the Coldplay concert was the first time you two touched. 3 times she brings this up. How is this pertinent to the story? Because here's what I was doing when I wanted to hear this. Because I was like, all right, I really didn't, and I say this with all due respect to her life, I didn't care about her personal life because I don't know her. I don't really know the truth. I don't want to know the truth. That's for you and whoever's in your life to handle because you got caught. And sadly to say as well, I've heard this story before, okay, in some variation and or form since the beginning of time. Boy and girl meet. Boy and girl get into an inappropriate relationship. Boy and girl get into trouble. Boy and girl blow up their life. And boy and girl have to pick up the pieces and we move on to the next, drama. I could literally turn on a television show right now, a Netflix streaming, and there's 1900 versions of this exact same problem. So I didn't learn anything new. I didn't learn anything that was surprising because Oprah's like, and there's a crucial part to this that I did not know. And I want you to tell, but this is very important that everybody hears this. I'm like, what? The crucial part is that Christian and her estranged husband were separated and he was living somewhere else and that he was also at the Coldplay concert with another woman. Okay. So, okay. Again, nothing surprising me here. I've heard this before. And again, I don't really know you to be telling me the truth. Like, sure, you were estranged, but you acted as if you got caught. Now, what I wanted to hear, what I really wanted to know was the logistical part of it from the human resources mindset in a office setting between a CEO and not because she's not just the secretary or the other woman in the other cubicle. She's the head of human resources. And in this day and age, now, after I'm going to say the last 10 years, that have so many things have come to light about inappropriate behavior in the workplace. The Me Too movement, the Weinstein Chronicles, the fact that, I would presume that in an HR setting, and I could be wrong, there has been a lot of updates on sensitivity training, recertification, understanding, what is appropriate and not appropriate, and dating in the workplace. Like someone of her level should have the manual postered on her wall. And when did you not understand that in no way, shape, or form, regardless of what your personal life is, that on from the corporate office setting, this was not right? Because, as she goes through the setting up the scene, because Oprah wants to set the scene with her, she wants to be set up. Explain to me how this relationship started. And, Kristen is going into, he's a very great guy and that we work together. We're very close. And, anybody who's worked in this type of environment knows that, you got to spend a lot of time together. And we started to develop feelings and we started taking lunches. And, one day he asked me, what's going on? And she tells him about the fact that she's getting, separated from her husband. And this is her second husband. And, he opened up to her and said, well, I'm getting separated from my wife. And all of a sudden, the stars and the moons and the lights and, the solar system all aligned. And we started to get close. And, I was feeling good. And, because, you need to understand that I was feeling low and, he was making me feel good. And I hope you guys can understand that, I was getting attention. And I'm like, stop. Nothing I haven't heard before. And she keeps going on about the fact that, and Oprah asked her 3 times. So that was the first time he touched you. The guys touched. And she goes, yes, and it was an intimate setting and I was having drinks, and I'm just like, girl, preach to another choir. I don't know you. Okay. I'm looking for details on how the hell did you think that this was plausible for the person that you say that you are very uplifting to women and that you are, you've worked so hard in your career that you had a 4-month fleeting note in your mind after your husband, your second husband, is not giving you the attention at home, that this guy who is the CEO who you report to was giving you any bit of attention that you said, yeah, come to a concert with me. I don't expect anything from you. What? None of this justified what she's trying to do now. It's just not. It's at the end of the day, this is what I got. Okay. I'm going to try to keep this as very direct as possible. One, she can't find a job. So she needs to get the word out there at her version of her story to try to recoup whatever she can to pull her life together, because this is now her second marriage, that she's only been married to this guy for 2 years, and that she has 2 kids from her first marriage. And at the beginning of this interview, they were estranged, and that in somewhere in the middle of the interview, she says, if it wasn't for my second husband, I wouldn't have gotten through this. And in the beginning of the interview, she's going on and on about the guy that she was with, her CEO boss, that he was a great guy. He gave her attention and that he was good looking and that she felt good and that, we were very close and we were 5 days away from going to the board before the kiss cam incident, to tell them that we were having feelings for each other, which I don't know what that means. I can have feelings for my cat. Are you in a relationship or you're not? Because if you're going to go to the board and tell them, hey, I might likey him. So, I just want to make you aware that I likey him. Because to me, if you're going to do something like that, it's because you are making a plan to move forward with your relationship or whatever the hell this is. Because they wanted to go to them because she wanted to divert from reporting to him because she knew it was bad. And it's so funny because at some point in the interview, she gets upset the fact that people were snapping to judgment about her without having any type of realistic thoughts. And I said to myself, and you did too. Because in all of this that you're saying to me, I can understand and appreciate that you try to tell yourself and the board and him, and you were having dinners and lunches and all this other stuff, that you were going to go to the board, but you still went out. And I don't care if you touched then. I don't care if you touched before, if you touched later, if you jumped on top of him outside of the kiss cam. I don't care. I don't care. How am I supposed to believe that? Why does that mean anything? And Oprah kept trying to reinforce the fact that this was the first time, and that, we should not be, bringing down women. And I don't know why at some point, maybe in the last 10 minutes of the interview, as I started to process this, because the back and forth, she brings Gail into the picture again, saying that it's very well known that Gail's ex-husband cheated on her, and that, she got a divorce. And she keeps reinforcing, and she's telling Gail's story while Gail is there, because it's very well known, which, by the way, I did not know. I don't follow these people. I don't care. And she keeps stressing that, this was something that just happened. And maybe it's something that I felt at that moment. Now, it's not maybe. I felt at that moment that I feel that this interview was more for Oprah to set the scene for something that she's trying to tell out loud about her life. Like, something is going to come up where she's going to now need the support of everyone, because who knows? Because I haven't seen Stedman in 3 years with her. I see Gail everywhere. Where's Stedman? Where he be at? It's like, where's Waldo? And I just felt that this was more of not a cathartic, but the setting up of something that she is trying to explain to everyone, that this can happen to anyone. What are you trying to say, Oprah? Is something happening that you feel that you needed to do this interview? Because, she was very quick to say in the beginning that, this is the only live interview she's going to do with anyone, though she's already given a written interview in December for the New York Times. And that she was very grateful that she allowed her to interview her, because she already spoke to her on Zoom. And I'm just listening to this, and every time she goes into interrupting her, man, she's trying to pull her into a question that she wants her to answer, or she brings Gail from the audience. Why is there an audience? This is a very personal, and this one was visibly uncomfortable, because she said that she was nervous about coming out into the audience. And I'm like, I would be too. And, and like, why do we need to look at all the faces of everybody's reactions? I don't know who these people are. These days of having that type of daytime talk show, reactional things are over. I would have appreciated more intimate discussion with her, making her feel more comfortable, because the woman was sitting there like a stiff board, and she kept, harping on the fact that, she's trying to tell her story, and she doesn't want, anyone to be misunderstood about what she was doing, which was completely bullcrap. The only thing I can really say that I agree, and it could be on anybody's podcast, on anybody's incident, is for specifically this situation, the harassment that she has received to the point of threats to her life and to her family. The fact that the local radio station gave out her address, okay, which they should be in jail, and the fact that someone gave out her phone number, and that she's been abused, and she's been followed, and she's scared. And you know what? No one deserves that. She's not a criminal. She needs to answer to her own family, to her own life. She needs to figure out and fix the pieces of her own life. Okay. Now, it triggered a lot of people, so much so that there's conveniently somebody in the audience that Oprah goes up to with her little microphone, gets up like she used to do in the Oprah Winfrey Show, and says, I was one of those women that was very triggered by what you did, because I'm a wife of 17 years and my husband did the same thing. He cheated on me. And I'm like, how did you find this person, Oprah? Okay. And that, I understand that, now since I don't know you, I shouldn't have felt that way. And it was very triggering. Well, yeah, it's going to be very triggering, because, one of the other big important things that happened is that this 15 seconds, not 15 minutes of fame, literally 15 seconds of fame has been viewed 300 billion times. And as Oprah put it, in a world that has categorized only 80 billion people in the world, 300 billion people have viewed this. Now, of course, rewatching, memes, replays, everything. That was wrong. That's crazy. First of all, that's insane. Okay. And the days of 15 minutes of fame are dead. Okay. 15 minutes of fame was more relegated to the past when, us normal Homo sapiens, humans, who were not celebrities and being stalked and harassed by the paparazzi, and constantly put into these news reels and news rags and Inquirers and TMZ and all that, being followed relentlessly. We didn't have the opportunity to become famous or infamous. The only time that would happen is if you did something that would put you on the cover of the newspaper or the newsreel or whatever the hell is going on, and that would be called 15 minutes of fame. Why? Because in 15 minutes, the next one would roll out and somebody else would have a chance to become, 15-minute fame. You get thrown out the next day of the newspaper and there's another story on the thing. Now, 15 seconds can garner you a TikTok, an Instagram, a Facebook, a YouTube, a meme forever. I could literally walk out of my house right now, fall on my ass, someone takes a video, make a TikTok, and I become a meme. There is no anonymity anymore. Anyone at any time at any place can become famous or infamous for any reason whatsoever. And this is exactly what happened to this woman, and it could happen anytime, anywhere to anyone, which is kind of startling when you think about it. Privacy, we're going to have to pay to be private. That's pretty much how it's going to be. There is no more privacy anymore. And it goes back to, I appreciated that tidbit that, unfortunately, she is being abused and she is being, taken down the rakes, and people are triggered because, again, it's the same old story of, however they want to call it, homewrecker, which she says she's not, the affair, the tantalizing the boss and the secretary or the boss and somebody in the office having an affair and blowing up their life. It's been told so many times. Of course, it's triggering. We've heard this all before. Hello. And this is why I'm like, why am I listening to this? Oh, because she needs a job. She needs to get herself out there, because one of the other things she brought up is that the guy, they both left the company, but yeah, nothing I've heard about this other man, which is the same name as her current estranged husband, Andy. Both of them are named Andy. So nothing I've heard about him, that no one went after him. No one, and when I say no one, I personally didn't hear it. The only reason why I'm saying this is because this is what she says, that she was attacked, and I believe it. But she keeps coming back because she made the interview on the New York Times, and then now she's on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and she keeps hashing it up. For that, here's what you should do. First of all, the fact that Oprah didn't offer you a job on site because she was so, I understand, Oprah, you gave away cars. You can't give this woman a job, maybe not an HR job, because I know that if I was working for a company and I found out that she became the new HR director, I would be walking out that door. I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. I hope she has other skills than HR, because obviously that failed her. Okay. And to be honest with you, start a podcast. She should start a podcast. She has a story. She can support other people who have gone through this and will continue to go through this. Okay. I want to say I've heard Monica Lewinsky has a podcast, or she's been on podcasts. Everybody has a podcast. She can probably do very well if Oprah, backs her. And, she can, try to help people to get back on their feet mentally, or, tell her side of the story. She can probably do better than trying to find another corporate job under that construct. Oprah, walk the walk. Start a podcast. Let her start a podcast. Get her to interview other people who have gone through their 15 seconds of fame, because 15 minutes, be no more. Honestly, that's what I would do. This woman is never going to see my video, and I'm going to be honest, I'm shocked that that was not even brought up, because what does she think she's going to do? The sad part is that, she goes on to, and please go watch if you want the full details of, the 20 minutes that she actually speaks about this, while the other 20 minutes is about Oprah and Gail, and then the other 15 minutes is about Oprah, and her Zoom, and, the fact that they didn't touch and that she keeps leading her on, you'll get 15 minutes of information. You can go ahead and watch it, because from what I understand, this podcast show from YouTube, Oprah has about 862,000 subscribers, and many of her videos have gone on to over 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. They're not doing, not all of them, but a lot. So she's doing okay. She's all right. She's only been there for a year. She's all right. It took me 10 years to monetize this channel. She's all right. She's good. So one more, two more, three more views is not gonna, she already made a dent. Okay. So you want to go listen to it, go for it. And then when you go, I want you to come back over here and tell me, am I crazy? Is there something off? Because it was so uncomfortable to watch the audience. It was just like watching the audience reaction, listening to her and Gail, and then, Oprah interviewing this one person that was triggered by this, that represents everybody that was triggered by this. And then watching this woman trying to explain her history, her past, her love, and the fact that she was lonely. And now, what it turned out to be is that her estranged husband was the one that is helping her, not the father of her children. Her children, who are not children, who are teenagers, very different, because teenagers are very in the know. They've got all the latest app. The hell, they're creating some of these social medias, okay? Are embarrassed, rightfully so, and they're going through it. And on top of that, at the end of the interview, Oprah asked, "Are you still in touch with Andy from the Kiss Cam?" No, because he was very deceitful. And then Oprah keeps trying to pull out of her, well, what does that mean? Oprah, you're a smart woman. You honestly don't know what this woman is trying to say. She's visibly uncomfortable. She doesn't want to say the words. And the words are, he was not getting a divorce. They were not separated. Because at the end of the day, her estranged husband came out, and I don't know when, because I didn't hear it, I didn't see it, but this is what she says, and told everyone that they are definitely separated. And when Kristen wanted her Kiss Cam partner say that he and his wife were separated, it never happened. So she does not have any communication with him anymore. So all that lovey-dovey stuff about we were getting close and, we had so much feelings and this was real. And I'm like, girl, you flipped a switch in 1 hour and 15, in the 15 minutes that you spoke. You went from, he was just, he's very handsome and he's amazing. And, we had such a connection to, yeah, he didn't do anything for me and we don't speak to each other anymore and we're done. So here I am telling you that I can't find a job and I need your help. Help me. That's exactly what I took out of this. Because what? Because if she would at least tell me that this guy came through for her too and that they're together, I'm like, oh, good for you. That's a rarity, but good for you. No, nothing. Literally in the 15 block of minutes that she was able to speak, she went from he's amazing, I had an estranged husband, to my estranged husband who is still close to my kids, who are they're not the baby daddy from my first husband. He is amazing. And this guy's a jerk. In 1 hour. I got whiplash. So the question is, did she really interview her? Did you get anything out of this other than the same rhetoric you've heard so many times before from other people who have been cheated on, cheating, caught? I can literally put on 3 shows. Who the bleep did I get married? Fatal Vows, Fatal Attractions, Fatal Attraction. It's been done 1,000 times. And Oprah, what is happening to her? Her interview skills have become abysmal. I didn't like the way that she was leading her on to questions. I didn't like the fact that she kept trying. Well, what does that mean? What do you mean? What do you mean he was deceitful? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm like, Oprah, what are you, 5? You couldn't just say, I got it. And Gail, I drink and you don't, and you're silly putty. And your husband cheated on you, you got a divorce. And remember, Gail, when we were there, I'm like, but you did why didn't you just put her and Gail in the same room and leave the rest of the people out? You could have done that. So this has become the Oprah Gail show podcast with people peppered in, all like like, what are these AI people? I just, oh my God. Listen, Oprah, you don't need to do this. Obviously, I honestly thought that you were, gallivanting around the world in your, jet, hanging out. You can do much better. You could do, I'm sure you've done well. You've done other things. I don't understand the need to continuously be in this news forum. And now you have a mini Oprah Winfrey show with an audience to boot and Gail behind you. And you getting these interviews because, she spoke to her on Zoom and she's making it clear that the things that you said to me on Zoom is what you're going to tell me now, right? 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 I'm like, Oprah, you're not that desperate. What is going on with you? Chill. Woman, chill. Relax. You're good. You know, if you allow her to speak, maybe we would get something out of this. And I just think that it's time that she just do something else. I could be wrong. She's bored. At the end of the day, she's bored. There's only so much Ozempic can take her. Sorry, did I say that out loud? So I feel that Oprah is eventually going to come out and have something happen where she is going to, this is all going to click. I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know why, but there's some eerie background feeling that I felt watching this interview of how she was leading this woman to questions and how she kept stressing about the touching and everything else. I was like, whoa, this is not the Oprah that I vaguely recall on the times that I've watched her on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Okay. That's one. Two, I don't understand why a podcast needs an audience. There was at least, I'm going to say 50 people. That's a show. It's not a podcast. Okay. And honestly, Kristen, do yourself a favor. Stop trying to go back to work and that corporate structure that you had. You mucked that up. Figure out your life. Tell Oprah to support you on your own podcast and go out there and help other people, because it's not going to be just women. It could be anybody who have gone through and will continue to go to, because social media is going nowhere. And take your HR skills, which I presume you have legitimate skills, and try to get them to better yourself. Because honey, I didn't feel any remorse from you. I felt regret. I felt regret that you got caught. I feel that, you were going to go with this guy, whether he touched you today, tomorrow, whatever, it was going to happen. I don't believe for 5 minutes that you didn't believe that he was not really separated, because with all the intimate conversations that you had with him, you were so close. You really couldn't figure it out? Really? 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 Okay? Just go out there and put yourself out there. This whole thing, I'm never going to talk about this again live. Bull crapalola. Unless there's somebody who's going to be sympathetic, which should be Oprah, to give you a job, what are you going to do? There's money to be made out there. Just got to figure out how to leverage your infamy and put it in the right way and, do some good with it. Because this is a sign. I don't think anyone has ever been, this is the largest amount of views on anything. 300 billion views for 15 seconds. You know how many people would kill for that? Okay. So I want to thank everybody. I hope I brought some value to you. I hope that you enjoyed this content. And if you so inclined, I would love for you to join my community, and I would love for you to decide to subscribe and like and share. And for all the ones who have been in my beautiful community, who like, share, comment, hype, I cannot tell you, as I said before, how much love that brings for me and to me. And if I can give that to you back, I would literally be smothering you. Dun, 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 dun. I don't think you want to be smothered by me. So I want to tell you guys to have a beautiful day, beautiful weekend, beautiful week, blessed week, life, year, as I always do. And from here to around the world that I reach, thank you, everyone. Goodbye.